Mute. Hello! And welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Could somebody let me know if the sound is better? Last time the sound was all messed up and we had to dump that one, but I have a mic now. So if somebody can let me know if the sound goes sideways again. Anyway, welcome back. I hope you all are doing very well. Today, I'm going to attempt to discuss the two major aspects of ourselves. 30 minutes is an awfully short amount of time for this subject, but it will give you an idea of the whole of who you are and why you have maybe so many conflicts within our heart versus the head. And at some point here soon, I'll be offering full classes so that you can really go deeper into the two aspects of yourself. But those two aspects are the exterior self and the interior self. We'll start with the exterior self. These two, well, back up a second. These two sides are vital to our life and our purpose in life and our life's path and just being human. You need these two sides to experience life in all of its form: light, shadow, happiness, sadness, all the emotions, everything, all the energies that surround us. You have to have these two sides. Neither side is worse than the other. Okay, both have a light side. The interior doesn't really have a light side. It's all neutral. The exterior, though, it's got light and shadow. So let's delve into this. So there's the two main aspects of who you are. There is the exterior self and the interior self. The exterior side is, we're born with a blank tape or an empty hard drive, so to speak, right? It's completely blank. And as we move along through life, as children, we absorb everything around us. It's all learned behavior. From society, our parents, our friends, our family, things we watch on TV, things we experience, all of our exterior perceptions, everything that's formed. It's the face we show the world. It's the side that has the ego mind. It's the side that is very physically realm-based. It's the side that has to touch. It's the side that has to have. And what I'll do is I go deeper into this subject at the end. I'll give you a way to start seeing the difference between the two sides. But the body is more part of the exterior sides, and the chakras are in the middle, right? Now, the interior self, the other side of you, it is all innate, okay? It comes in fully loaded. It has your innate perceptions, your innate truths, who you truly were meant to be in this life, what you were meant to do, if you were meant to have kids, if you were, whatever you were meant to do, a roadmap is included in this inner world, your interior self, okay? And it is the most powerful side of us because it contains access to our soul, our higher powers, all of the energies that are on the other side, and it includes the stamina of the soul. And there is no higher stamina than the soul. To give you an example of the innate truths, for those of you who may be gay, it's innately for you. It's just who you are. For those of you who are straight, it's innate. You're just innately straight. You weren't meant to understand what the other side was doing because your inner world pulls out what's right for you. Okay? Now, when you put these two sides together, if they're on the same page, there's nothing you can't accomplish. If they're not on the same page, an all-out war will begin. Now, as I said, you're born with both sides. One side is completely blank, one side is completely full. Now, the inner world, when it wakes up, is different for everyone. Okay, some people are born with it awake. Some people it wakes up in their teens, their 20s, their 30s. It's just different for everyone. It's part of your life path. But when that sucker pops open, all your innate perceptions, all your innate truths come flooding in, and then they start to conflict with what you've been told, what you've been taught, right? And then they all start melding together. And then the fighting starts. What's right? Who's right? And you get all of these voices, everybody talking inside of your head, and you wonder why you have so much chatter in your head. It's because it's the two sides, and each side has different perceptions and different views. And no one can tell you which one's right. That's up for you to decide, right? So as we wake up and we start to see this interior world, whatever has happened in the physical realm affects it. So if your physical realm has been beaten down, because the mind can be broken, the interior world cannot be broken. And I want to make this quite clear. There is no such thing as a broken soul. Okay? There's no such thing as a damaged soul. The soul cannot be broken. Your inner world, people have tried for years to access that interior world and to change it. They tried it during the Holocaust. They've tried it, they've tried it with the gays. They've tried it with all the different cultures, the blacks, the whites. Everybody has tried to gain access to that inner world, but they can't. The mind, on the other hand, it can be easily manipulated and broken. And when that happens, it can crush the self-esteem, and it can cause a big cloud within the interior realm, and it's hard for you to see your way because you don't know if you have the strength to do it, because your self-esteem has been beaten down. You don't know if you have the strength to fight back, the strength to be who you are, to stop caring about what the exterior people are saying. That's because that aspect of you is conflicting with the inner aspect of you. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, somebody tell me that it doesn't make sense. Anyway, when these two suffer an incongruency, that's when we start the battle of the heart and the head, right? Most people, though, however, because the ego mind, which is part of the exterior, is a sneaky little guy. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now. It thinks it's in control. Who do you think came up with the slogan, mind, body, spirit? That's the ego mind that says that, because the mind's on top. When in reality, it's spirit, body, mind. That's how it's supposed to be. The mind belongs on the bottom, okay? The soul should be at the top, the inner world and all that it has. It's the one with your roadmap. The ego mind just runs around wanting more, wanting what it wants. Kind of lost myself there. Now, these two are vital to our life experience, right? With all of the arguing and infighting, they're both vital, because without the two of them, without the exterior, you can't really know what the physical world is. Without the interior, you can't know what it is to innately know who you are. You're just run around doing what everybody told you to do, what everybody else is doing. There would be nobody standing up for themselves or going against the grain or standing up saying, wait a minute, this is wrong. We can't do this anymore. So you have to have both. And both, just because both have two different opinions, does not mean you cannot come to an agreement. Okay, if we have a few seconds left at the end of today, I'm going to have you do a little quick meditation so that you can start learning to separate the two, because it's important that the two get separated so that you can start knowing the voices of the two, and you can start putting that physical ego mind in its place, understanding it, but putting it in its place and letting your interior world drive you, right? The interior world doesn't always make sense. It may have you turn left and then right instead of just going straight. The ego mind wants what it wants. It's the fastest way to get there. Now, these two, they're like a big happy family, happy-ish. And like I said, when they're all getting along, there's nothing you can't accomplish in life. But the ego mind side, the physical realm side, is like a loudmouth. It's like the loudmouth side of the family. It throws temper tantrums. It's the critical one. It's the judgmental one. It's the one that tells you you're not good enough, right? It's the one that is mean. It's the one that beats down your self-esteem when you want to try something new or look funny on, starting back online on video. That's the ego mind. That's the one that tells you you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not funny enough. The inner world doesn't care about any of that. The inner world's like, well, this is part of your path, and this is where we go, and this is what we try. And if it doesn't work, then we try this, we try that. The inner world is very, the voice trails off. The voice that tells us, yes, that's exactly it. Thank you, Michelle. It's the voice that tells you to doubt yourself. Sorry, I'm still learning how to work this. Can you explain why the body above the mind? Yes, I can explain that. That's an excellent question, and I plan on explaining that. I'll do it right now. The body is above the mind because the body has its own innate intelligence. We like to tell the body what to do. We run around, we do research, and society says this, and your blood says that. The bottom line is the body knows what's right for it. It has its own innate intelligence. And while you may be able to rule it the first half of your life, I guarantee you it will rule the second half, because it gets tired of being the dumping ground. When these two sides get into a fight, the heart versus the head, right? The chakra system, which runs in the middle, is the one that gets all of the angst and all of the pain and suffering, right? And it falls into the body. So the body starts to fall into pain and suffering. The mind is not above the body. The body knows what it wants. It knows what it needs. We just don't listen. Now, if you really want to, there's three different voices. There's the body's voice, the mind's voice, and the soul's voice. And or exterior voice and inner world voice. And it's when you start listening to those three voices and hearing the difference, you can hear who's talking, right? Because you need all three. If you don't have a body, you certainly don't have a physical realm side, right? Now, the other aspect is the ego mind, the physical, the exterior world is the face we show the world. There's like a barrier, a gatekeeper between the two. Our inner world isn't supposed to be out there for everybody to see. It wasn't meant to be out there to just be an open floodgate. No. It's for us. It was created for us to keep our private world. And then we decide what we want the world to see. And if you are incongruent with what you believe in your inner world, and you're out there preaching something entirely different, it's going to cause a conflict. And that conflict is going to fall into the body, right? I'm hoping this is making some sense. Every day, now, once these two sides wake up, every day, every moment, builds off another moment, right? Every conversation you have, every life experience you go through, it gets processed through these two sides, right? And it can get really confusing as to which side to believe. That's when you have to return to the third side of you in your inner world, which is the neutral side. Pull it all back. Don't ever rush to a decision, because these two sides will be at opposite ends of the scale. And if they're not agreeing and you just pick one, then you're not listening to the other. Then you're incongruent with who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. Now, when there is an all-out war between the two sides, and everybody's all this infighting, you don't sleep because there's all this infighting, and your body's not getting rest, so you're getting tired, until a ceasefire, for lack of a better term, is made. One side agrees on something, and then the other side agrees on something. But the physical realm side, the ego mind, will make you try to think that your interior, your heart, it will try to fool it, right? So going back to the heart versus the head, many times we think it's our heart that wants this, that knows this is right. That's not your heart. That's your head. Your heart doesn't do that. Your inner world doesn't do that. Your inner world doesn't talk at you and say, I know this is the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't do that, and it certainly doesn't include somebody else in its decision making. We're supposed to be together. That's you. That's your ego mind. So when we start looking about how to separate the two, because it can get really confusing, right? Because if you haven't spent a lot of time hearing the two voices, they can get really confusing. So this is where you get a pen and paper out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you kind of a list to start separating the two, because first, I want you to start by seeing, okay? Clarity always comes first. I want you to try to just see what side is your ego mind and what side is your inner world. Okay, Camellia, I see you're on there. Your comedian side, that is part of your interior world. That cannot be taken out of you. There's no way to beat it out of you, because you were born to be a comedian. And whichever area that is, that's to be determined. But you were born with it. Okay, so the exterior self. To give you some examples, the exterior self is the ego side. The soul self is the interior. The physical carries your mental, physical, stamina, and your soul carries the strength of the soul and the higher powers and your guides, your angels, all that the other side is, right? So when you're going through something, don't barrel through it with your physical side. It's your soul side. That's the side that holds you up, right? The mental side can pull you down. The physical side is reactionary and impatient. The inner world isn't. The inner world is okay taking a beat and waiting. The physical side is thinking. I think this, I think that. The inner world is a more of knowing, an internal knowing. This is me. I know this is right for me. Okay? Physical side, conditional love. Everything's conditional with the physical side. Everything is money is physical side. Inner world, unconditional love. Money, here, have some. That's the inner world. And boy, those two can get into a big fight over money. Lying to the self, self-manipulation. Now, one of the things you want to know, if you are looking for truth, absolute truth, you go straight to your inner world. Because in your inner world, there is no lying, okay? Take fear with you, because fear doesn't lie. Fear brings with it the gift of truth. The exterior realm is riddled with fear. The inner world does not fear fear. The inner world welcomes it and says, okay, what do you got? You're here to teach me. That's what fear is. Teach me. Okay? Exterior self is all learned abilities, everything you've learned. Interior is your innate self. Those of you who've studied archetypes, those are where your archetypes hang out, and they can conflict with the exterior world. The innate abilities of doing things that you never just innately know how. Kids nowadays are just born knowing how to use smartphones and computers. I mean, come on, none of us were. So that's an innate ability. Those come through the inner world. The rest of us have to trudge along with YouTube videos on how to do stuff. The physical realm, I want more. The inner world, I have all that I need. If I need something more, I will go get it. It's a very calm place because it doesn't have a whole lot of, there's no chaos. There is inner chaos, but it's kind of like an organized chaos, for lack of a better word. And when I do the more in-depth class, which I invite you to take, that will help you to really be able to start delving deeper into seeing that. Judgment. Oh God, judgment. Exterior. That's all judgment, okay? The interior world is gratitude. The interior world looks at something, it doesn't immediately judge it, it just kind of goes, huh, because it's gaining knowledge, right? The exterior world has to judge and then jump on the bandwagon with everybody else who's in the judgment mode. Oh my God, social media is horrible right now about that. If you get on their bad side, it's a lynching. They're going to lynch y'all, and they're all going to lynch you. And the inner world doesn't do that. It's more about, well, let's learn more from this. Let's see where this is. The inner world is gratitude, okay? Innate gratitude. The inner world is patience. Exterior is impatient. Now. Fear, disempowerment run rapid in the exterior self. Empowerment is the rule of law in the interior world. That's all it seeks. It seeks to be empowered, and it seeks to work with the exterior, but sometimes it just gets drowned out or fogged out and it can't see. And then clarity happens, right? And it starts to open up, and everything starts to open up, and then you start to feel it more. So one of the things I invite you to do, as I've lost my place, is start listening to the sound of your inner world. Okay? We all have to do things we don't want to do. We all have to pay taxes. We all have to, get cars registered, pay bills, grocery shop. We all have to do that. But the inner world doesn't sit there and get pissy about it. It just doesn't even, it has no say over things like that. So it's more geared toward your life's path and who you were meant to be. And when you will go against that grain, then you start a war. The inner world can start a war just as well as the exterior world. And again, the body ends up in the middle. So what I want to do is I want to take a little moment here and have you all sit and close your eyes. And just take a deep breath. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath. Let's see yourself sitting on a beach or on a big table, big round table on a beach. You are the awareness, the conscious part of you. You can see the ocean or the mountains, wherever you want your table to be. Across from you, a triangle, across from you is your interior world. Okay? Greet your interior world. Thank it for coming. You may see it, you may not. Some people see it as an actual physical form, some don't. Now across the other table, the other side of the table, the third of the triangle, your exterior self. Now greet your exterior self. The main reason for me doing this short little 2-minute meditation is to begin the process in your energy field of separating them all out. Okay? The conscious you, the physical realm side of you, exterior, and your inner world, the internal side of you. See them all entirely separated. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to come back. Seeing. Now, from this point on, when you go on, tonight when you go and you close your eyes, bring those two sides a little closer. Maybe just one side and have a conversation with it. Yes, you can have a conversation with your interior self. You have them all the time. Now, your conscious self is going to get in there. And your conscious self is going to get into the exterior side and hear the difference between the voices. I hope today makes sense. Now, does anybody have, I know, Camelia, anybody have any questions? She always tells me not to ask that because people get nervous. So, more of the exterior self is the one that carries out all of the duties, is all of the daily duties. It's the side that faces the world. So it's the one that appears to be most dominant. But in reality, each individual person, your inner world is what's dominant. And your inner world is a big, giant piece of the world that's behind your eyes. The world you can't see. That's the world I teach about, the world behind your eyes. Next week, I think we might talk about fear or more on the world behind your eyes, but I was going to do that in a separate video. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you all enjoyed this half-hour talk. If you did, subscribe and like, and leave me a comment below if you'd like me to answer a question. I will do my best. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.